The easiest mistake with the iPhone 17e is assuming the same chip means the same phone. It doesn't. If you buy based on processor headlines alone, you might save money up front but end up with a device that feels wrong a week later. The real issue isn't whether the 17e is slow or a bad value. We're fairly confident the A19 is a great chip. The practical question is this: if both phones share the same silicon, which missing features actually justify spending more for the standard iPhone 17? Most people flatten this conversation into one line: same chip, close enough. That sounds rational, but it's where many buyers get misled. I'm pretty confident the 17e and the standard 17 will share the A19 processor. The cheap headline is strong because you aren't buying an outdated interior. In spec-heavy reviews, that often becomes the entire story. But your phone isn't a benchmark result. It's a tool you touch, charge, and glance at hundreds of times a day. Even if the chips are similar, the daily experience can feel very different. Cheaper only stays smart if the trade-offs remain invisible. The moment those compromises become something you feel every day, the math changes. The chip headline is technically true, but it's incomplete. If both phones open apps quickly and handle iOS smoothly, the processor stops being the main differentiator. At that point, the experience gap shifts to the screen, the camera, and the small conveniences that shape how you use the device. Let's start with the display, because this is the biggest separator for most people. On paper, refresh rates and panel behavior sound nerdy. In practice, your brain notices them immediately. A smoother screen changes how scrolling feels and how responsive the phone seems, even when the processor isn't the cause. If the regular iPhone 17 offers a 120 Hz always-on display, while the 17e uses a simpler panel, that isn't just a cosmetic change. It's a difference in daily texture. Reading feeds, swiping between apps, and even quick glances at your lock screen will feel different. For some, that's a medium impact. For others, it's a high-impact change the moment they pick up the phone. This is where the 17e starts to look like a different device. You don't experience your processor directly. You experience your display all day long. The same is true for the interface. Features like the dynamic island aren't just branding. They change how you handle timers, media, and calls. Once you're used to that interaction, going without it can make the phone feel one layer less refined. Subtle differences might seem small, but they matter when you repeat them every single day. It isn't just one missing feature. It's the stacking effect of several smaller ones. The camera is the next area where shared chips can be misleading. People assume that because the processors are the same, the photos will be too. If you only take casual snapshots in good light, the 17e is likely good enough. Plenty of people are happy in that category, but the regular iPhone 17 offers more flexibility. A dual camera system gives you more framing options and range without needing to crop your photos later. This is where cheap can become a false economy. You save money, but you run into small limitations, like wanting a tighter shot you can't quite get. After a few months, the extra cost of the regular 17 feels less like a luxury and more like avoided friction. Then there is the convenience layer. Faster charging and better wireless behavior seem boring until your battery is low and you're about to leave the house. I'm only moderately confident the average person will care about Wi-Fi 7 or ultra-wideband (UWB) right away. But for those who want their phone to age well with new routers and accessories, the impact is medium to high. The regular 17 doesn't win by one giant leap. It wins by removing a dozen little barriers. If you only compare the phones by the A19 label, the 17e looks like the smarter buy. But if you compare how they feel over 6 months, the regular 17 makes a much stronger case. The extra $200 is real money, and I won't pretend it isn't. But in phone buying terms, that cost shrinks when you realize you're buying back display comfort, camera flexibility, and daily smoothness. The right 17e buyer has strong price discipline. They want a fast, modern iPhone that will be supported for years, but they don't need the premium layers. They won't notice display fluidity or demanding camera features. But if you are sensitive to how a screen scrolls, or if you value having the right lens for the moment, the regular 17 is the safer purchase. Cheaper becomes a mistake when the money you save is smaller than the frustration you buy. A phone is always with you. A slightly worse screen or a more limited camera stacks up fast. If display feel and camera options matter to you daily, don't let the A19 headline talk you into the 17e. You should probably stretch for the regular 17. The 17e is for the buyer whose main priority is the lowest entry point into a powerful Apple device. The shared chip matters, but it doesn't settle the argument on its own. I'm very confident that having the same chip does not mean you'll have the same experience. The display and camera are the most likely reasons to justify the jump to the iPhone 17. If real-world testing eventually shows that casual buyers don't actually notice the display or camera gap, then the 17e becomes a much stronger value. But if the regular 17 feels obviously better in your hand, the extra cost becomes much easier to justify. Tomorrow, I'm answering the final question. Buy the 17e, buy the 17, or wait.